Hi there guys, it's Les from Hypnotherapy Unleashed, and in today's episode of Making Sense of the Mind, we're going to be asking the really interesting question of what is hypnosis? Now, probably like yourself, most people seem to have some sort of weird perception of what hypnosis is, because when they think of hypnosis, they're not imagining someone lying down on the couch feeling really relaxed. They're probably imagining someone on stage doing something really silly or humiliating. So some of the questions that I always have to answer when someone comes to see me at the clinic is, will you make me dance like a chicken? Will you make me eat an onion? Are you going to get a gold sort of pocket watch out and wave it in front of my face? And the answer is that I don't do that anymore. No, the truth is that stage hypnosis and hypnotherapy are very different. But when most people say, I can't be hypnotized, that just simply isn't true. Because another word for hypnosis that myself and I know a lot of other hypnotherapists use is trance. And it's been shown that the average brain goes into a form of trance once every 7 minutes. So it's incredibly normal to access a daydreaming-like state. But what's actually going on? Let me give you an example of a state where you could be completely in control but be in a form of trance. If you're watching this with someone else, or if you're watching it alone, find someone else and ask them this question. What did you have for breakfast 2 days ago? Now, what's going to happen in that moment is, unless they were just thinking about it in that moment, they'll just answer you straight up. But 99 times out of 100, they'll stop and their eyes will drift off somewhere in their head. And why is that? It's because they're having to access some sort of memory. They're having to go through their mind and sift out. And in that moment, they might be picturing what it is that they ate 2 days ago. They might remember what it was, what it tasted like. They might remember the smell if it was a cooked breakfast. The whole point is that in that moment, even though they were stood there with you, there was a part of their brain that just had to go off somewhere for a moment to be able to fish something out. You've probably done this any time that you've ever been concerned or scared about something. Technically, your body is right here in this room, yet there's another part of you that's gone off into the future somewhere and simulated something, maybe like the worst case scenario. And what happens? Your body starts to act as if that's happening. That's all worry is. Whenever we've started to feel down about a memory from the past, what's happening? We're in a very particular moment, and yet our brain goes off outside of the present moment into a trance, and it starts to relive a memory again. Now, what that shows me is that you have an incredible ability to be hypnotized because you're doing self-hypnosis yourself. You're hypnotizing yourself to go to a different place in time, whether it's a memory or a perception or simulation of the future, and your body can act as if it's happening right now. It's an extraordinary gift that we all have as humans. But what that shows me is if you can do that about something negative, you can do it about something positive. Chances are you're just out of practice. And so hypnosis in terms of a therapeutic setting is being able to take that innate skill that you already have and apply it to a much more positive idea. And when we do that enough times at a deep enough level, lo and behold, you'll start to move towards a more positive future that you want for yourself. Because what happens? You go into your brain, you start to play things happening in a positive way, and your body starts to feel as if that's true, which means that you're more compelled to take the actions necessary to act as if it's true. If you've got a child that's below the age of 6, below the age of 7, but mostly 6, have you ever seen them just off in a daydream state? Have you seen that they just absorb things like a sponge? We know the saying, don't we? Children are just like sponges. And that's because their brain waves, the electrical rhythms in their brain up until the age of 6, are normally mimicking a pattern that's similar to hypnosis. Now, why is that? And this is absolutely crucial in being able to understand how hypnosis can help and why hypnosis does work. It's because if you were to go to, I'm not affiliated with them, but if you were to go to PC World, I don't even know if they're still in business, I haven't bought a new laptop for a while, and you buy a fresh computer or a fresh phone or a fresh tablet and you open it up, you've got this amazing bit of kit, an amazing bit of hardware, an amazing bit of software. The problem is that there's no programs installed on that moment. You have to boot the PC up and you have to install different programs for that to actually do what you want it to do, right? Humans are the exact same. It's our greatest strength and also our greatest weakness that when we were born useless. Not a complete empty shell, but not enough to be able to do anything. If you watch a horse being born, within 6 hours it's running around. Now, I don't know if you've ever had children, but we're kind of useless up until the age of around about 2 or 3 when we start to become slightly interesting. But those first couple of years, we don't have any programs. And so in that moment, we are just trying to understand how it is that we can interact with other people. It's in those moments that those programs start to become almost laid down as a foundation for our being moving forward. And so very often, this sort of begs the question of, well, how do we know that these programs are helpful? Well, hypothetically, if you're a child, there could have been one thing that someone said to you one day when you were 5, and that became a program. It could have been something like, "Oh my God, Barbara, you're so funny." Well, suddenly in that moment, there was a program that got laid down that could have been along the lines of, hang on a second, when I do X, Y, Z, I'll get attention and love from someone. And slowly, 15 years, 20 years later, Barbara's a comedian. Now, I've overly simplified that, admittedly, but that means that if we've got positive programs that can, I suppose, cause positive personality traits, sometimes they can be negative ones as well. Now, we don't have to go back in time and have to rerun the same negative event that happened over and over again. But chances are, not 100%, but for most people, if there's a particular trait that you're going through life with that you don't like, if there's a particular type of self-sabotage that you find yourself doing, 9 times out of 10, it may have been from a program that was given to you by someone else. Because that's the problem. Sometimes it's a luck of the draw of the kind of programs that we get given to us. Because when we're younger and when we're fairly useless, we don't really get much choice in it. Very often, I think there might be a Mark Twain quote somewhere there where something like, "We are the dreams of our parents," meaning very often the things that they couldn't do or the things that they learned but wish they did, or some of the things that they don't feel comfortable with, they implant that onto us. And so often we can have a very varied response of programs. Some of them could be limiting beliefs, some of them can be positive beliefs. And so hypnosis gives us the permission to mimic the same electrical rhythms in our brain, where we can start to almost take an old CD and scratch out some of those old programs and put a new one in. So there's some of the differences between maybe stage hypnosis, which is just entertainment, and hypnotherapy, which is about being able to almost be the software engineer of your mind, going in and just scratching out programs and putting in new ones in. And when you can utilize that to its first ability, you can see extreme changes occur fairly rapidly. Now, what we've done in this channel is we've tried to take the benefits of hypnosis and repetition and put them together. Because really, there's only 3 ways that the brain technically learns something. One of them is repetition, and they say it's the mother of all skill, and it's true. Another one is hypnosis, so being in a state where we can be receptive to suggestions. One myth that I'm happy to stamp down right now is that there's nothing that me or a hypnotist can make you do that deep down you don't want to do. If that were the case, we'd probably be the richest people on the planet. I don't know if you ever checked the Forbes list. There ain't any hypnotherapists there. So that's one myth that I think is really important to address. But what we do is, with the tracks that we offer within this channel, it allows us to be able to take advantage of repetition. You can listen to these things for free as much as you like, but also being able to use hypnosis. If you're in a place where the electrical rhythms in your brain begin to slow down and you can be more open to positive suggestions, and you can do that repeatedly, it doesn't take too much imagination to understand how that could start to create huge changes in your life. The third one, to be able to learn something very, very quickly, is one that we don't utilize, and that's trauma. Very often, if we've got a particular view of the world and something hugely dramatic and out of control happens, and we can have technically good trauma and bad trauma, that can make a huge shift to our personality, to our identity in that moment. One of my best friends, his life was a very particular way, and the moment that he went through a divorce that wasn't within his control, it had to shift his entire perception of everything that he went through. And so we can see how those 3 things, combined or separate, can make gigantic shifts. But hopefully you can understand that within the realms of this channel, within our control, we've taken full advantage of those first 2. So if you've got any specific questions about hypnosis or any other myths that you want maybe debunked or proven, feel free to write your comments below and just share what it is that are your concerns about hypnosis. What are the rumours that you've heard? What are the things you've found on the grapevine to maybe be true or not true? And because the moment that you can address those concerns straight away, that's going to allow you to have much more advantages moving forward within this channel. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Can't wait to hear your feedback below, and have a fantastic day and speak soon. Thanks.